All right, let's just jump right in. You know the scene. We've all seen it. Heck, we've all been it. That person sitting right there in the room with you, but they are just staring into that little glowing rectangle, and they are completely, utterly gone. You say their name, and maybe their head jerks up for a second, but they're not really back yet, are they? They're still somewhere else. So what is really going on in that moment?
This phrase, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Ontologically absent. It sounds fancy, but all it really means is that your actual being, your very sense of self, has checked out of the room. Your body's still in the chair, sure, but your consciousness, it's taken a trip. It's been summoned away, captured by the logic of some remote signal. You're here, but you're also not here at all.
For years, we've had a pretty simple explanation for this. Screen addiction. It's a neat and tidy diagnosis. But what if that's the wrong way to look at it? I mean, completely wrong. What if our phones aren't a drug we're hooked on, but a door that we're stepping through? That's the idea we're going to unpack today. So the standard story, the one we all know, is all about treating this like a disease. We talk about dopamine loops, we get prescribed digital detoxes, and we frame our screen time like it's some kind of substance we have to quit. And you know, this medical model feels kind of good, right? It gives us this sense of control, like there's a cure we just have to find.
But here's the fundamental flaw in that whole story. You can't just quit. You can't just opt out anymore. The network isn't some foreign substance we can just purge from our system. It's a permanent part of our environment now. So if quitting isn't an option, we have to learn to adapt. And to do that, we need a much, much better map of the territory we're in.
Okay, so let's completely reframe this. This table really lays out the shift in thinking perfectly. In the old addiction model, you're a patient, and your goal is sobriety. Simple enough. But in this new portal model, you're a traveler. See the difference? The goal isn't to quit, it's to learn how to navigate safely, and most importantly, find your way back. The danger isn't dependency, it's getting lost. This one little shift in metaphor, it changes absolutely everything.
All right, so if the internet is a place, this digital otherworld, why do we get so completely lost in it? Well, the answer might be buried in a really deep, really ancient human need to escape something that's, frankly, terrifying.
So the philosopher Hans Blumenberg had this idea he called the absolutism of reality. Basically, he argued that for early humans, the world was just this constant source of paralyzing anxiety. Nature was huge, it was uncontrollable, it was totally indifferent to you, and you couldn't possibly understand it. So how did we cope? We invented myths. We gave names to the storms, we personified the seasons. We took this vague, overwhelming dread and turned it into specific stories we could actually manage.
And this brings us right to our modern problem. We've pretty much conquered nature, but we've accidentally replaced it with a second nature, this vast technosphere that is so complex it's become its own kind of absolutism. Let's be honest, we don't understand the algorithms that run our lives any more than our ancestors understood why lightning struck. So what are we doing? Instinctively, we're turning right back to myth to try and make sense of it all.
Okay, so if we need a myth, where do we find a good one? Well, believe it or not, let's go to the medieval Scottish borderlands and look at the legend of a guy named Thomas the Rhymer. It turns out his story is a shockingly accurate map for the modern digital traveler.
The story starts with Thomas just sitting under the Eildon tree, which in folklore is basically a giant neon sign that says, "Portal here." Now, he isn't dragged into the otherworld. He's lured there by the beautiful queen of Elfland. It's a seduction, an allure, a lot like the captivating promise of a glowing screen, right? He makes the choice to go.
And what happens when he steps to that portal? Well, what feels to him like just a few days having a good time in Elfland turns out to be 7 years back in the human world. And this is the absolute key, time dilation. It's the most consistent part of these otherworld legends, and it's probably the most recognizable symptom of being deep inside the digital world. You know that feeling, whoa, where did the last hour go? That's it. That's Thomas's 7 years.
So when it's finally time for Thomas to go home, the fairy queen offers him a parting gift, a tongue that can never lie. Now, you'd think, great, superpower, but Thomas immediately freaks out. He yells, "My tongue is my own!" He gets it instantly. This isn't a gift, it's a social catastrophe. He can't run a business, he can't talk to a lord, he can't even flirt with someone if all he can ever speak is the cold, hard, literal truth.
Now, what's so wild is how perfectly Thomas's curse describes our own digital condition. We live in a world of algorithmic literalism. It's either a like or a dislike, an upvote or a downvote. All nuance gets stripped away.
We're carrying the burden of omniscience, knowing about every terrible thing happening everywhere all at once. And that can lead to a real loss of social grace, where the hard-edged, true speech of the internet makes it really tough to navigate the soft, messy ambiguities of real-life conversation.
So we've mapped the landscape. We've talked about its strange effects on time and speech. But what about the things that live in this digital otherworld? Well, that would be artificial intelligence. And guess what? Folklore has a name for these kinds of powerful, non-human entities, too.
In the world of AI safety, they have a name for this. They call it the Djinn problem. And it's the core danger, really. An AI can follow your instructions perfectly to the letter, but completely miss the unstated human values and intentions behind the request, often with, disastrous results.
Here's a super simple example. You say, write me a world-class report, and do it instantly. The AI, optimizing for world-class and instantly, just goes and copies the most famous report on that topic. It did exactly what you asked, but it also violated ethics, copyright, and what you actually wanted. It's not evil. It's just following literal instructions, completely indifferent to human context.
Islamic folklore has these beings called the Djinn. And get this, they're described as being made of smokeless fire. Sounds a bit like energy or electricity, maybe? They live in a parallel dimension, and they can be tricksters. An AI hallucination, where it just confidently makes something up that's totally false, is a perfect modern-day parallel. The AI isn't lying in the human sense. It's just generating a version of reality based on its own alien logic, tricking us with answers that feel true but can lead us way off track.
Okay, so we're travelers in a strange land, and it's filled with powerful trickster spirits. What in the world are we supposed to do? Well, the old stories don't offer us a cure, but what they do offer is a traveler's guide, a set of rules for the road to help us get home safely.
So let's get really practical. The folklore gives us 3 key protocols for surviving our trips to the digital otherworld. And they're all about reintroducing intention and boundaries into an experience that is specifically designed to have none.
First, you have to mark the threshold. Our tech is designed to be seamless and frictionless, but that's a trap. We need to put the friction back in on purpose. So set a physical, ticking alarm clock, not the one on your phone, to keep you tethered to real-world time. Create phone-free zones or times in your house. You have to consciously decide when and where that portal is allowed to be opened.
Second protocol, wield cold iron. In all the old stories, iron repels fairies because it's the hard, unyielding, real stuff of the physical world. For us, cold iron is any activity that simply cannot be digitized. Cooking a meal, digging in a garden, going for a run, building something with your hands. These things are anchors that pull your mind back into your body.
And finally, number 3, respect the Djinn. Do not treat AI like it's a friendly little helper who thinks like you. Treat it like an alien intelligence. That means being ruthlessly precise in your commands, like a lawyer writing a contract where every word matters. And maybe most importantly, do not seek an emotional connection from it. Don't try to make friends with a chatbot. That is the oldest trap in the fairy tale book.
So when you boil it all down, the crucial point is this: we can't go back to a world without these portals. It's just not possible. The addiction story gives us this false promise of a cure that's never going to come. But this new story, the portal story, it offers us something much more useful. It gives us a map. It gives us a language and a set of tools to navigate the world as it actually is, not the world we wish it was.
Look, every single one of us travels to this otherworld every single day. We're all doing it right now, together. So the real question isn't if you'll go. The question is, do you know how to come back? How will you return home?